it's like maybe she has some bruises like on her face because half of her face was like dark, right? So like maybe some bruises from like the deceased guy already punching her like a few weeks before he's dead. Right? Yeah, it just.
Hello. Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. How you doing, Ibra?
Doing good. How are you doing?
Not bad. Excited to be back again. I think we again couldn't shoot last weekend, but we won't stop bringing stuff over to you guys. So I'm very excited for us to be back again for episode 25. Is it 25 or 24? I can't track it properly.
This is 24.
Episode 24, right? Okay. But yeah, episode 24. That's interesting. I think we've come a long way so far. And today we have a lot of interesting topics to discuss. As we can see, I want to get right into it. Ibra, are you ready?
I am ready.
Okay. Just like the first term of President Donald Trump, for some reason, President Donald Trump has to be the most newsworthy president that the US have had in a long time. Like, forget being the opposition or conspiracy. The fact that he does so much, he acts a lot. There's so much to discuss news-wise. Like, everything he promised his supporters, basically, he has come in and he has said, I'm going to do everything regardless of the democratic process. And I say this not in the sense that he's going behind the democratic process, but more like he does everything in his absolute power as a president within democracy to do what he has promised his constituency or his supporters. And since he has been inaugurated, there's been so much that has happened. Yeah, so much. Yeah, I mean, it's starting from the moment he got inaugurated. You know what? Let's chronicle it differently. The first thing is, we haven't discussed the Joe Biden's family pardon. So let's talk from the past, yeah? The ex-president, on his last day in office, decided to give a blanket pardon to his entire family members. Yeah, so he basically just said, we don't have to know if they have committed a crime. If they accept this pardon, it doesn't mean they have committed a crime. But for every non-violent criminal offense that they might or might not have committed in the past XX years, they are forgiven. They are pardoned. What are your thoughts about this?
Yeah, I feel like there's no other way to go about it, right? That level of power. I feel like, yeah, you have the right as a president to do that. And I mean, I feel like people are saying a bunch of negative stuff about that. Yeah, you can question why he's doing that or why not. But for me, I'm just like, if I was Biden, I would absolutely do the same thing that he has done. I feel like there is a need for me to do that. So yeah, I think
that's the excellent point. This is the point. Like, so basically, Biden is telling us, I don't need to. I'm just doing it. Yeah? Them accepting this does not mean they have committed a crime. We don't know if there's a crime out there that they might get arrested for one day or the other. But for whatever it is, as long as it's non-violent, they are pardoned. And this is where it's tricky for me. I think if I was the president and I actually have a family member that have carried out a criminal activity or whatever, I might give a pardon. Yeah, because you have the power in that moment. It's the last time you will have that power, especially for someone of Biden's age. I might give a pardon and say, you know what, I forgive you. This is some of the benefits of having your family in the presidency. But to say you haven't done anything, I don't think you've done anything. I don't see that you've done anything, but I forgive you either way. That's heavy, you know.
It's like Jesus.
That's exactly. Like,
Jesus is like, your future, your past sins have been forgiven.
Exactly. Like, exactly. That's the thing. I'm the president and I wash away all your sins of the past, as long as you haven't been violent.
The past is even of the future, as long as you keep worshiping me. That's the Christian thing, right? Like, even the
exactly.
Sins have been forgiven.
Exactly. I find that very interesting. But I mean, I think we're more on the same page. Well, he has the power to do so. He knows his reasoning behind doing that. I think there's something suspicious, and we will find out. I think time always tells, right? At some point, we'll realize what they did within that period that he gave them this blanket pardon for. At some point, I mean, we're not in a Hollywood movie. It probably doesn't happen that we know at some point. But there is a 50-50 chance that whatever it was, it will come to light. It will come to light. Yeah.
I don't think so. Well, let's see.
I don't think so, right? Yeah. But I feel like he must be worried that there's a probability that it does.
Yeah.
And that's why doing that practically just made it our business. I don't know if this makes sense. Yeah, so if there is absolutely no risk that it becomes public information, whatever they might have done, I don't think he would have done the pardon. They weighed the risk.
Yeah, it's just like, about I can, so why not? We don't know what the future holds. But I see myself as this is the last top tier power, like at least this level of power that I would have, and let me just do it. It's just someone who sees like, okay, yeah, this is a one-way trip now. I'm not coming back to this. Like, what else can I do? You know?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that makes sense. It could just be that he did it for that reason as well. Which, yeah, why not? We can stop him. It's still, again, as I said at the beginning, within the democratic process. Something interesting. Now that we're still on the topic of pardons, one of the few things that President Donald Trump did once he got inaugurated, I think he did this the next day, was that he pardoned all the offenders from the January 6th incident. And for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, it was the run on the Capitol when he lost the election before this one to Joe Biden. The supporters that ran through the Capitol even hurt some police officers. So there were violent offenders and there were non-violent offenders, just protesters and all that. They had it on the record that they had committed a crime against the Constitution, against the United States. And some of them were even in jail. Now, Donald Trump came in and just gave every single one of them a pardon. What that means is that the ones that were in jail got released. The ones that just have it on their record that they had committed a crime, for every one of them, it gets striked out. Now they are on a clean slate. What are your thoughts?
I haven't thought about this. My thoughts. I mean, I would say that, yeah, I don't think it's the right thing to do. I would argue that it's not the best precedence when it comes to things of this nature or like events of this nature. I feel like it's quite similar to what you said about Biden doing when he was like having his last day in the office, right? So I feel like he's absolutely just feeling like, yeah, because I'm the president now, I have the power to do this now, and I will do it. But I don't think, giving those, we can't even call them criminals anymore because he just uncriminalized them. All right.
Exactly, he decriminalized them, exactly, or uncriminalized them. Yeah, he just wiped it clean. And those guys actually went through a process, you know? They went through the legal process. They definitely committed a crime.
Yeah.
And see, this is different. It just basically came in and said, well, they committed that crime on my behalf, or they committed that crime in my name because they love me. Which, you know, it's the point of TikTok or whatever. Because they love me, you know what? Yeah, you are safe. You wipe that police officer's face with a stick because you love me. You know what? I don't care about the police officers. You love me. Go for it. You're safe. That's how it seems to me. Like, exactly. You know, we can try to draw the distinction between the violent offenders and the non-violent offenders. But to give every single one of them a blanket pardon, that's an issue. I would have preferred if Donald had said, well, some of you were just protesting because you felt that the election had not reflected what you believed it would. So yes, for you guys, maybe the punishment shouldn't be as heavy. But you guys that in my name went into the Capitol, took the staff of the Senate or whatever, and destroyed stuff, you need to understand that even though you are supporting me, even though you're doing that because you felt odd that I lost the election, you cannot do that. And there are consequences for those type of actions. So maybe you grant clemency but not wipe their entire record. Or you reduce their terms. But to say everything clean slate, that person is exactly the same as I am in the face of the American law today, or American law enforcement. That's crazy. I think that's crazy.
I mean, we're talking about this, but now I'm thinking about the fact that even even Trump himself, like, he's supposed to be a criminal at this point, no? But and the whole thing is just messed up, right? It's like, yeah, I see him also getting out of all these convicted felonies that he already got convicted for, and he's just extending that, like, you know what, let's use this to the maximum, right?
There was another interesting pardon. I think one of the pioneers of Bitcoin, using Bitcoin in the US, I think his name is Ubats or something, he also got pardoned. So when he started using Bitcoin, he created a platform that then ended up allowing Bitcoin to be used by criminals. Right? So it became the concierge of crime through Bitcoin before Bitcoin became so popular. So it was investigated. I don't know if it was the CIA or the FBI. Got arrested, got thrown in jail. Now, before President Donald Trump got inaugurated, the big man launched his own meme coin. Melania also launched her own meme coin after the inauguration, yeah? But basically, the first family of the United States got into the rug pulling game of meme coins. They haven't pulled the rug, but they have a meme coin, just, people buying into it. And I think within a day or so, Donald's meme coin rose to maybe $60 or $35 million in market cap. Yeah, very successful meme coin. And one of the pardons that President Donald Trump put out there was the pardon of this Ubats guy. Because now Bitcoin has become something big, and the question is, should that guy be suffering for it? Keep in mind that it became the concierge of crime. He understood Bitcoin earlier than a lot of people, and he created a platform to help criminals use Bitcoin. So he facilitated crime with that platform. Knowingly, should he be pardoned? And what do you think about the first family having their own meme coin? The whole idea of a meme coin.
For me, I'm even trying to see if there is any sort of connection with the two incidents. It's like, if you pardon this guy now, yeah. But anyways, it will have still been be able to create his coin without the guy. So yeah, definitely shouldn't have. I feel like, I don't know his reasons why he pardoned the guy. I think we would have to I'm not sure if he gave any sort of speech in regard into that voice. But anyways, I shouldn't have done that. It's interesting how many criminals have been turned into non-criminals these days. And, yeah, right. And for the first family to be having their coin, I think for me, even if I was a crypto guy, that would have been maybe an indication for me to be a non-crypto guy. My point is, to all of these guys still really, because a lot of Gen Z that are really into crypto, they are like, it's like the new forex for them now. It's like they see it as something legit, and some people are actually making profit off it, but it has no substance. And we've said this before, right? It's like it just takes any influential person to just create something out of nothing, make some money off it, pull in and pull out. It's like the pump and dump thing, right? Trump doesn't need to dump anything now. I think, as long as he's president, maybe it will keep rising, and maybe a year before he pulls out his money.
Yeah. At some point, there will be a pullout.
Yeah.
And it could also be that it's not even him to pull. It's, let's create a coin with $2 million. Everyone that donated to my election, this is how you get your money back. Get into that. I'll tell you when to pull out. This could be a way to compensate some of his supporters in the background, because now they would know, okay, you can get into the pool. I'll let you know when to pull out, when we're going to close it all up. And now you won't be able to know who gained or who lost. Conspiracy theory from my side.
Some people said some major, what do you call people? Is now a shareholder?
Investor.
some of the coin investors already pulled out, I think, millions of dollars. And the coin already fell like, I think, almost 30% or something like that, because it was really going strong, and something happened. I think someone pulled out money, and it dropped like almost half. Maybe that was his move. He already got in and got out. And exactly. You guys fight for the rest.
And it's very interesting, right? It's very interesting to think that we're talking about real money here, and it's just a game. Why is beloved President Donald Trump and his wife participating in this? Because, as you said, no substance. It's just a Ponzi scheme. It's the new generation Ponzi scheme.
Yeah.
Everyone gets in. Some of you win. Most people lose. Why is the president participating in a Ponzi scheme publicly?
Because he can. That's the only thing I can think of. Because he can.
Bro, absolutely. This is a theme of what we're starting to realize, because he can't. Next point. So all this happened before the coin, before the inauguration.
Yeah.
Now to the big incidences from the inauguration. I think a lot of people have talked about that. These, the oligarchs be, at the inauguration. I'm talking about now the tech billionaires. And all those things from the inaugurations. 3 things stood out for me. 3. I will quickly talk about the ones that stood out, but it's just funny stuff. It's like, okay, we can talk about it quickly. Number 1, the poise and the entire stature of Baron Trump, Donald's son. I mean, what are your thoughts? Like, just as a man, do you think that, how proud can a son make you? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what is the peak of being proud of his son? He did huge things to help his dad get the first seat, to get the presidential seat. And he did that, and it came to the inauguration, and he owned it. Like, he owned it so majestically. When he stood up and he's like, yes.
Yeah.
And then I have a very tall son named Baron. Has anyone ever heard of him?
Like, how proud can a father want to be?
I saw it on Donald's face, definitely. Like, that moment, he was super proud. Like, I'm like, yeah, it's just the question you asked.
That was beautiful.
Yeah, that was really nice to see. Because, the boy himself is just one cocky guy. You can, like, he stood up without any sort of shrinking yourself or whatever. It was really full of it. Like, yeah, I'm that guy. And it looks a lot like Donald himself. And I'm like, oof, you must feel so proud right now. Like, look at that mini me.
yeah, exactly. Look at mini me. He's so tall. Trump was like, I don't even know what to say. Just look at him. Yeah, if they tell you that this boy won the election, can you argue against it? Yeah, you have to believe. Look at him. And the boy owned it. And I mean, that was one of the juicy moments of the inauguration that I was like, you know what? Worth it, right? Number 2 was this one is just funny, okay? Jeff Bezos' wife.
Yeah.
And what she wore. It's fashion in general. What Jeff Bezos' wife wore to that inauguration ceremony, and what Melania Trump wore to that inauguration ceremony. And, the commotion that Jeff Bezos' wife, I forgot her name now, but the commotion that she caused.
The Amazon body.
Did you see the video of Mark Zuckerberg looking, and it's like...
It was the picture I saw. I saw the main picture. Like,
oh, there's a video.
Yeah.
It looked like 3. It was like 3 times. It's like, hey. At some point, it was like, hey. Did you see the smile on the face? Oh, we have to find the video and put it somewhere here. The 3rd time, he thought Jeff caught him doing it, and then look at Jeff and say, he was smiling.
Yeah.
That was funny. And Melania Trump as well. She was looking like, I don't know.
Abused widow.
Okay, yeah, that's crazy. I didn't say it. It's like, that description is... I mean, when you put it that way, there's something widowy about it. Like, you better witch, black dark widow or something from like a superhero movie. The abused bit is just how numb she was. Like, the character itself, she was playing a numb character.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's it. Where did you find out from?
Even myself, I'm like, when you were talking about what she wore, I was seeing the picture in my head, and the word just came. Like, like the widow is like you explained it right? And for me, the abusive part was even like, maybe she was trying to not be seen. That's how I felt. It's like maybe she has some bruises like on her face because half of her face was like dark, right? So like maybe some bruises from like the deceased guy already punching her like a few weeks before he's dead. Right? Yeah, he just popped off.
And I think, yeah, and I think she kept the art on even for our official first lady photos. But
yeah,
anyways, that was interesting to see as well. Now to the third and the most important thing that caught my eye at that inauguration is the popularly acclaimed Elon Musk salute. Before you even tell me what you think, what do you call that salute that Elon Musk did? The reason I ask is because, well, a lot of people are saying it's the Roman salute, but there's another half that's saying, nah, that's the Nazi salute. What do you, for what you saw, is it Roman? Is it Nazi? What emotion did that bring out of you?
I think it solidified my new opinion of him. And I think it's not just me, it's like on a very mass, like for a lot of people as well. He just fell from this adorable guy to, I don't like this guy. Like, I mean, before then he did some things, but that just solidifies it for me. Like, you know what? This guy is corny. He's deceptive. He's a troublemaker, and he looks quite unstable for whatever reason. Let's agree for a second that it's the Roman whatever salute. But why do you need that? Why do you? Because you know for sure he's not a dumb guy. For him to do that, he knows what it might be interpreted as. Why do that? So yeah, I just felt like this guy is a troublesome guy.
Yeah, I agree with you. Honestly, I mean, I already told you before. When they were campaigning for the election, I saw some of the things that Elon did on Twitter or X, and I was a little bit worried about him already. Yeah, there are certain things that he does. Let's say he sees a video on X. Yeah, this was the peak for me. He looked at a video on X that was not true. It's a fake video of something racist happening towards white people. They created this thing on X called community notes. There are already several community notes saying this is a fake video. This did not happen. This did not happen. And Elon, the chief superintendent of Twitter, that forcefully made everyone follow him. Forcefully. The moment you open the Twitter account, you are already following one account, and it's Elon Musk. This big man decided to reshare that video with the following caption: "Is this true?" The answer to that question is already in the community notes. He could have read that community note and saw that, okay, it's not true. Knowing the type of followers he has, posting that saying, "Is this true?" It's almost as if saying, "Oh, I'm shocked this is happening." And it just felt to me that like he wanted to fan the fire of hatred amidst races. And for me, that was the day I decided that, okay, Elon, I don't care. It's not taking anything away from your bag. It's not taking anything away from your intelligence. It's not taking anything away from everything you have. But me, nah. I'm not going to support this guy anymore. Not in the sense that I'm canceling it and I'm not using X or whatever. It's just I cannot admire someone like this. He's too intelligent to not know what he was doing.
Yeah.
Now, when I saw the election stuff, I thought, oof, the word that you use is exactly what I would have used. Unstable. Because let's even imagine that there is an entire plan in the background to raise another Reich, the Fourth Reich or whatever, in the US. Or in the globe. So there's another rise of communism or whatever they want to do. And Donald knows about it. Elon doing that on day one, I think it would be too soon for any plan. I don't know. Or maybe they knew and they just wanted to see what people's reaction would be. Elon, do it. Let's see how people react to that. And I feel like even though there was some sort of outburst, there should be, if we don't know publicly, the FBI, the CIA, the NSA, whatever, the NATO, whatever, they should be secretly investigating that guy at this point. They should be knowing every room that he steps into. They should mic up everybody that would ever meet Elon. They have to know what that guy is up to.
Yeah.
They should bug every device in his house. We have to know what that guy is up to. Because the effrontery to do that. And this is now, the thing is, something else happened afterwards. Elon is now the co-lead head of DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency. Elon wanted to have his office in the White House in the West Wing, so very close to the president. And Donald's chief of staff, I forgot her name now, the woman, the lecturer, she was also the campaign manager, I think Wiley or something, I forgot her name now. She decided that no, Elon, you're not going to have your office in the White House. It would be in the building opposite the White House, just to create some distance between him and Donald.
They have to. Yeah.
Yeah, the instability that it brought by already, even if they have it as a plan, that this is our goal, to do that publicly on the inauguration day, it's too much effrontery. And there are still people that are powerful in the background that could work against whatever their plan is. Now, this is now the performative part of things. The chief of staff also felt the need to say publicly that the Dodge will not report directly to the president, they will report to her, the chief of staff.
That's interesting.
And the question is, so if Elon wants to call Donald, he doesn't have his number anymore?
I feel like she definitely had to say that because, yeah, for sure. I mean, it's already news that were already speculating that Elon is the 46th or 45th president, or like is the current president. That even Trump himself, he had to debunk that, right? Like previously, like, you know what, he's not even American, it can't even be, blah, blah, blah. And the fact that he had to say that, I think this is something similar to that, to just make the public aware of the fact that, you know what, he's not anything close to the president. He will be, but at least in the public eyes, he must not look like he is. I think that's just the move there. Like you said, he definitely has his number. He's the biggest donator for like his, what's it called now, his campaign. So he's definitely
the richest man in the world.
He's the richest man in the world. But I'm just trying to also state his relationship to Trump, right? So yeah, exactly. So yeah, that is not happening.
Yeah, but that was a shocking thing to see. Fast forward, Donald is now president. First day there's the pardon, but on the same day as well, there were a few executive orders. And out of all the executive orders, not a few, a lot, a shitload actually, but out of all these executive orders, 3 of them caught my eye. Number 1, it's the executive order of DEI, which it's a big one to talk about. Maybe we shouldn't start with the DEI one. World Health Organization. President Donald Trump now pulled out of the World Health Organization and the Paris Agreement. So I lumped them together. These are the 2 things that are very interesting to me. The World Health Organization is regarding health globally. The Paris Agreement is the climate action globally. Yeah. So President Donald pulled out of the Paris Agreement and basically said, we're now going to drill and get all the juicy oil out of the ground, and you know. And the World Health Organization is basically, look, the UN, they're the largest contributor. We don't think you interact with us with that deference for being the largest contributor. So I'm not doing that anymore. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, when I saw that, for me, I think the only reason he's doing this, in my opinion, is because of China. I feel like there's one thing that is clear. Donald really feels like China has to be stopped because they are becoming quite powerful. Before it was Russia, but I think right now Russia is like busy with Ukraine or whatever. I mean, but China is the new guy. The WHO one, I feel like, yeah, that was the reason I mentioned China, because I think he already said like some times ago that an economy as big as China should be contributing more than they are currently to WHO, but they are not for some reason. I think China they also did something quite slicky there, like, yeah, I don't want to go. I don't fully know the full details, but I saw like a preview on that and I'm like, you know what, cool. So they are not paying as much, and he's seen the progress that they are making like economically these days or like lately. And it feels like, yeah, that's one of the ways that they can also divert those funds into some other things. And the second thing that I think about that is his relationship with Elon. I feel like Elon definitely is that guy that he still has a lot of resentment when it comes to the COVID situation and how like the world handled that, right? And maybe this is some influence like coming from Elon that Trump is saying to the world, I don't know, but I feel like they are both Republicans apparently, so they I think it's a Republican view also the way like the view, yeah, this whole COVID vaccine thing and whatever. And yeah, the second one, I don't know. I feel like with that, he's just still placing money above like the planet. And it feels like at this point, US doesn't have to be I think they're not the only one responsible for climate actions, right? I would argue that not like I know for a fact Europe is even doing a lot more when it comes to protecting the planet than the US. And yeah, this is just quite sad.
It's good that you mentioned Europe because now that President Donald decides that, well, America, we're going to go America first and we will continue to proceed in dealing with the world from the perspective of more GDP, more money. So we're pulling out of the Paris Agreement. It begs the question how does a union like the European Union react to that? Because when you look at the European Union, economy-wise and all that stuff, they're lagging behind China and the US, right? They still want to feel like they're competing parties. Yeah, but at this point, it's clear that the EU is being babied by these two giants. And now that these two giants, they want to continue to even grow faster, because this is the point. They don't care about sustainability as much. It's the expectation that the EU will also rethink their approach to this climate and sustainability question. Yeah, because I'm already hearing that a lot of automotive companies are now dumping their fully electric plan and all that stuff to think about, well, 2030 is just too ambitious.
For sure, I feel like they already are. I'm not sure who was the guy in the video that I watched, but I think he was someone powerful in the EU, and there was this EU Parliament meeting of some sort, and they were already talking about yeah, we also have to start thinking about growth, and it was quite sad to see that because if there's one thing that I have for the EU is like the respect for some of the ideas and the way they go about capitalism that is not fully dehumanizing or like that is not fully focused on shareholders. I think they still have the human prosperity in mind. And if they decide to go any other route, that would really be disastrous and sad for the whole humanity, I would say.
Now, this was not the biggest executive order that President Donald Trump signed. I think it was day one. The biggest one that caught everyone's notice was the DEI executive order. So basically, they signed an executive order that cancelled out another executive order that enforced affirmative action when implementing DEI. Yeah, this one has been very confusing for a lot of people. Because some people thought, in fact, for me as well, I thought initially that this meant that it was rolling back on the idea that everyone should have equal rights to get jobs or contracts and stuff like that. But it took another length of reading through to realize that that's actually not what he has done. Instead, he has rolled back on the wrong implementation of DEI according to the Constitution and affirmative action, because he believes that this is where the problem is. The idea of affirmative action is basically to say a business must actively sought to get balance in the diversity or whatever within their company. He hasn't touched the employment one fully. What he did was he just said, well, we're not going to do DEI and all that bit or affirmative action within government offices. Private companies can still do it. But contracts, they've already removed affirmative action from the idea of contract. So the way people have been implementing affirmative action that President Donald Trump finds problematic is that think about the job ad going out there and they say it has to be a woman, even though there are millions of men qualified as well. And then this job you don't fill for a long time, or you end up filling it with someone that is not as qualified, even though you have a million, again, other people that could have been qualified, but they are not men, or maybe they are not part of the LGBTQ community, or they are not black, or something like this, right? This is what he rolled back on. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, my one strong statement that I would like to make is that when the whole thing was going on, I thought race That was the first thing that came to my mind. Black and white Americans. I saw in a video that this lady, I think she's a lawyer of some sort, and she made this statement that the the top on the list of the beneficiaries of DEI are actually white women. And that for me just threw me off. That's the word. And I don't know how to think actually when it comes to this, because when he was talking about it, I was thinking, maybe black people like, took a lot of sport or like are the top beneficiaries or something, but they are actually the bottom of the list. I think before them are like Asian Americans, they are the veterans, the white women and LGBTQ community, then the black people. I'm like, wow. I don't know. I just feel like I needed to say that. And when it comes to like the general, what I feel, it has some point, to be honest. I feel like there has to be some sort of balance, but I don't think how he's going about the solution is the solution, if that makes sense. I don't think this is the solution, but definitely there has to be some sort of, the best person has to get the job without the interfering in that.
Yeah. So I think I 100% agree with you. I think we're practically on the same page to say it is absolutely worth reviewing some of the executive orders and some of the laws around DEI. It's absolutely worth reviewing because some of those things should have been termed, right? It should have been timed. For example, at the beginning of the whole idea of DEI, affirmative action made sense. And I'll tell you why. There is this issue that if you say this job is available for men and women, there's still a high probability that a lot of women won't go into that job just by looking at the company's website and realizing that everyone is a man. It's already a hostile environment to go into. So at the beginning of trying to create a balance in workplaces and stuff, it made sense to say, well, we know that there are already millions of underemployed or unemployed women in the public. To create the balance and for representation so that more women can now actively apply by themselves, we need representation. So we would say we don't believe it would be too difficult for you to actually say this role has to be filled by a woman because there were already a lot of women that were unemployed or underemployed. But that was several years ago. Now we've shifted into a balance where there's representation in a lot of places. There's already kind of something close to a balance, and we're starting to tilt again towards the other side. It would have been a reasonable time to review again and say, now we don't need affirmative action because representation is check, right? If you want the job, go for it. Do you see the point? And competition is a little bit more balanced now. But to keep that without reviewing it, I have an issue with. And maybe what President Donald Trump could have done would have been, let's review as a standard democratic way of doing it. Everyone around him, they were so sure about the issues that they see there that they're like, we don't care about any further statistics more than what we've seen. I'm making this as an executive order. It's done. It's done. And what this has meant is that in the government organization as well, for LGBTQ plus people, they're reversing stuff. I watched a video yesterday where this transgender woman that she's changed everything down to a private part. She's fully changed, right? And she applied for a new passport.
I think I saw that.
They just sent a letter together with the new passport. We corrected the agenda to what we had on system before. So now this picture, it's a woman and everything, but it says male. I don't have an opinion about this, especially from a transgender perspective. I'm sorry, I can't fully understand it, so I don't have a strong opinion. But I just felt like it was worth mentioning that these are some of the implications of what we're seeing.
Yeah, like on any governmental or like government website or even job application site or whatever, like now it's just male, female, and there's this other one I prefer not to say. Yeah. Before the list was already getting to like 60 something plus, bro. Yeah.
No way.
Bro, it's a long list that you have to scroll from the drop down.
Wow.
You have it. Yeah, but now it's just like 3. And I'm like, okay. Yeah.
Another good thing that Donald did was that his whole brouhaha and energy and stuff came in, and he got SoftBank. So there's Stargates consisting of SoftBank, OpenAI, and all that to commit to a $500 billion investment in AI. I think this happened on day 2. And I watched the video when he won the election. He was talking to the SoftBank CEO. The SoftBank CEO committed 100 billion. And Donald said, make it 2. The guy was like, let me think about it. After the inauguration, the whole momentum was just so much that instead of 2, they committed to, like, together with the consortium, 500 billion. And I think that's a big win for the American people, if we take it at face value. Because what happened after was, I think, Mr. Musk was feeling jealous or something, and he went on Twitter. I don't know. Yeah, he went on Twitter and he basically tweeted they don't have that money. Yeah, because he's not part of that consortium. And I think since he dropped out of OpenAI's board and all that stuff, it's like, yeah, fuck this Sam guy. That was
funny. He said they don't have this.
Yeah, like, don't believe these guys.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah, it was like they don't have it. $500 billion.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
And they asked, I think it was Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft, what do you think? Do they have the money and all that stuff? I think it felt the same way as well, because if you are in finance, you would understand what it means to commit to $500 billion from a bank like SoftBank and for AI. That's crazy. But I know a lot of money is going into AI so far. And Satya's comment was simple. He said, I'm good for my 85 billion though. Like, I don't know about if they have the 500 or whatever. Yeah. But I think for Microsoft, we are good. I mean, that was a flex. Like, he just says, like, oh, yeah, but I mean, I know I'm good for my 85 billion. Like, you know, something like that. I have 85 billion planned. I'm good for it. I've got that money.
Yeah.
You know, and that was interesting to see. Yeah, it's funny. We have talked about a lot of the good things that Donald has done and some of the things that we felt, you know, less than optimal. There's something that I cannot tell you yet if it's good or bad, but I think it's interesting to discuss. And it's the tariff wars that have started. So the first thing is how it's happening. Donald will wake up in the morning without any economic analysis or whatever, just by assessing the position of the United States at the moment, would, you know, brandish out tariffs. The first one that caught my eye was the Colombia one. And I think it happened because the Colombian president, I think they sent back some criminals. And the president decided that there is a process to do that. You can't just put them on the flight and expect us to have the capacity to receive them. Of course, they are Colombians. They will be received. It's just there is a process. There's a diplomatic process to follow. Trump said, I don't care. And if you don't take your criminals, wham, tariff on every import from Colombia. And if you don't do anything again by next week, for every week, I make it worse. That happened. Fast forward to recently, and when the Colombian one happened, I'm like, okay, you know what? Maybe Colombia and the US are not the best of friends anyways before. But now, we got the new one. There's a powerful free trade agreement between North American countries. It's called NAFTA, North American Free Trade Agreement. And it allows North American countries to import and export with zero tariffs. What President Donald Trump has done now is saying, starting Tuesday, Canada and Mexico will start to pay 25% tariff to import things into the US. Considering how much move across these countries and companies that are supplying to the American market but setting up in Canada or in Mexico for whatever reason, now, starting Tuesday, there will be a tariff. And instantly, Canadian government and the Mexican government are retaliating. And Trump already said, if you retaliate, I'll make it worse. Right? He already said this from the beginning. And the claim is, he said, well, Canada and Mexico, they promised that they will help to reduce the influx of drugs to the US. As if they can. As if it's up to them. As if, yeah, like if you calculate how much drugs is going from Canada to the US and US to Canada, as if it makes sense that way. That it doesn't feel like the effort that they're doing to prevent that is enough. And this is why this tariff is coming up. But to think about the entire relationship of the NAFTA region, for that to happen so easily, it begs the question of, what is the point? Like, if countries can move back on agreements, like free trade agreements that have been agreed for a long time and signed, and the president can just come and say, well, this is happening. What's happening within the American government itself?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's exactly what we've been talking about, like throughout this episode, right? This is a lot feeling like it's not a democracy. It's a lot feeling like it's a dictatorship, and it's kind of a problem. Like internally, I feel like what Trump has been able to achieve, I'm not sure if that's part of his plan, is to really strengthen the division within the US. It's a lot strong now. You have to sort of be on the side, and it's like you have to be for against. And this whole tariff wars, this executive order, another one, and another one, it's just really making it difficult for Americans to know what to expect. There is a lot of uncertainty, like on food, on security, on a lot of things. And I don't know if this would eventually work, but it seems like a civil war right now.
That's interesting because I think that's the big question of this might work out that he gets everything he wants, because the good thing about Trump, remember when we talked about game theory or, economic theory in general, think in incentives. Trump, realizing his position as the president of the United States, has done his own estimate of the American power, the power of the US. And he has thought, well, there's no point in using carrots to do anything. The only lever I have is a threat that you won't get anything from the market that we have. But if you isolate the American economy, is it still that attractive? What makes it that attractive? Is it the participation in global markets? Or maybe it's just standalone that attractive. Is any country standalone that attractive? So it's still very unclear how this will play out. Like, who needs who more?
Exactly. I feel like you said, that's the only thing that I feel like it should be clear. They must have done that to know what this truly means, And I think they must know what it means to dish out all these tariffs and all. And you can argue that, yeah, like the US would definitely, definitely be the one to win this war.
Why do you think so?
Because I would argue that the US economy is probably the biggest consuming economy in the world, and you don't want to miss out of that. Even China might be big in producing and manufacturing, but I would argue that the US is maybe consuming the biggest portion of that compared to like the Chinese people themselves, if that makes sense. So you want to be on the good side of the US. Maybe they win this. My worry is what you then make people start thinking. Like you said, what does it then mean if they pull out on deals like this or agreement of such magnitude? I think it's the awareness for countries to now start thinking, you know what, we can't rely on these guys anymore. We need to start thinking different. And in the long run, it will not then be a win for them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, that in the short run, they might win because they have this huge market. It's the idea of consumption. Yeah. And the question that I have to that is, are countries willing to suffer that? Because when you put tariffs on product, you're not banning the products from coming in. You're just making it more expensive for Americans. And if companies decide that, well, if you travel to Europe and buy your stuff, all good, we don't care. So put 100% tariff on something. And people then realize that it's cheaper to fly quickly to another continent or another country to buy it. Is it still working? And then you have a lot of black market stuff. So I feel like the US market being that big on consumption, it means that even if everything is not a need, and it's just a want, it still means that those people will still want those things, potentially. And if they do, they will get it anyway or whatever. The world is already too connected now. So this tariff, paints the US in a bad light, and probably only hurts the American people if they actually need, for the things that they need. Because this tariff just means that it becomes more expensive to the American people. Unless there are already American companies that have been prepared to fill the gap. Because why you will import stuff is because, well, it's easier to buy from Alibaba, right? But if we put the tariff on Alibaba's product, and Alibaba's product is now slightly more expensive than the American price, you will buy the American product. Yeah. So unless American companies are already prepared to capitalize on these tariff wars, the American people might suffer. They will suffer either way. Anyways, I think that's interesting the way it's been implemented, and I'm still curious to see how it plays out in the long run. But anyways, now enough about President Donald. The next topic is AI. right? So we've talked about AI, 500 billion investment and all that stuff. In the middle of all that, something big but small came out of China, and it's called DeepSeek. Yeah, so these guys created an generative AI assistant or tool or product that would be comparable to ChatGPT 1.0 or something like this, or 1.5, for a considerably less amount of money. I think they claimed that they have done it with $6 million, and I think it cost ChatGPT maybe even billions. What are your thoughts about that as a product? Also, when that happened, it immediately wiped out about $561 billion from Nvidia's market cap. Basically, everyone thought, well, now they won't invest in Nvidia anymore. The future of Nvidia is not clear. And on top of that, there was the third point of there was immediately then stories around, privacy. What are your thoughts?
I find it quite cool to at least have one dominant power in AI that is not coming from the US. I think they really, really try to monopolize this whole AI game or AI industry, and seeing a very small but mighty product coming out of China, I think it's something the world needs. And yeah, for the sheer fact that it's also like an open source product, I think it's a major win for the world. And thinking just the fact that I've tried it, I've used it, and I think it's a great product. It still suffers a lot of response time issue and all. You might then start to wonder, like, is it really then as strong as we say it is when it comes to, because their biggest marketing strategy is to go head to head with like ChatGPT, right? And I think it's a pretty decent product. Yeah, I started questioning if it's actually of the same quality. But when it comes to the model itself, I don't have any sort. I think it's a very good model. But I mean, the servers now, when it comes to, you need a lot of servers, you start to question, is this really as resilient or as strong as you would imagine a very expensive one that ChatGPT, like OpenAI, is running, right? So talking about the Nvidia market cap and all, if I had an Nvidia share, I'm definitely not going to be selling or making any sort of irrational move, because I believe strongly that they will still be part of I might be wrong, I just think so, that they will still be part of the big players when it comes to AI with their chips and their processing power or prowess, if you put it like that. So I don't think there is any sort of panic or any sort of worry like long term when it comes to Nvidia. I forgot what this name of, there is a theory like that backs this sort of scenario where when we have this, okay, let's say DeepSeek becomes big, right? Everyone is using it. There are lots of APIs running on it and all because it's free. The impact wouldn't be Nvidia. Then we would need more computing power to then, you get what I mean? Like, instead of reducing the computing power, it would then multiply, like increase it, just because now it's a global thing. Now everyone adopts it. So it will not necessarily reduce it.
Exactly. That was my interpretation of that one as well. Like the idea of DeepSeek being able to do something more efficiently, it's an efficiency question. I don't think it really says that they won't still want to use the best chip possible. Exactly. So now let's say Tesla needed 1 million chips and DeepSeek now needs only 100. They will still buy 100 NVIDIA chip, but if you know that there's a model that does that, I wouldn't be surprised if every company now wants to buy 100 chips as well. I don't think it will impact fully the total number of chips that NVIDIA might sell, because it's almost like democratizing the idea of having your own AI bot with a little bit more targeting and all that stuff. When you know that, I don't need $1 billion, I can actually put something together for it's like how you democratize electricity stuff with smaller generators, cheaper generators and other stuff. Companies that actually make those generating sets, they didn't lose money suddenly when generators could become smaller or cheaper, needing less power, whatever. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's just you will still buy those things, and it would just be now that you have even opened it up to a bigger market.
Exactly.
So it's an efficiency question. I also didn't understand that market cap drop. I mean, for me personally, if I would have money to buy stock now, I would be buying a lot of Nvidia. This is not financial advice for anyone. It's just what I strongly believe that being that they are still the leader in the space of making chips at the moment, I back them. Yeah, and of course, DeepSeek is not as good as I would outrightly say it's not as good as ChatGPT yet. Yeah, it's not. What it has is that it's efficient and it's doing something close to what ChatGPT was doing at some point with so little money. It's not comparable to ChatGPT 4.0, right? Because it's very specialized as well, right? It does coding and a few other things. ChatGPT now you can upload PDF, you can do whatever. I'm talking 4.0, but it's free. It's close. Let's say it even has. If this thing achieves 50% of ChatGPT's capacity, that's already a big win because it's like 0.1% of the cost.
Yeah.
It's a question of efficiency again. It's not the question of 1-to-1. It's with X and X, you're doing so much more.
I mean, I think they are quite comparable. It also depends on what model versus what model, right? So, but I think, I could say now that I've really moved to DeepSeek compared to like working a lot on ChatGPT.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they've done that with so little amount of money. I think that's even the most interesting part, that they have done that with so little. But what are then these issues on privacy? What are your thoughts about the privacy concern?
As far as I'm concerned, I just feel like, that's just America being America. That's US trying to work towards hogging the attention of AI again. Anything China does is always an issue of security. Like, it's never the same when it's like US having all our data, right? All our data. They all have our data, right? At the end of the day, if it's not them, it's a problem.
Exactly. They all have the data, and they always talk about the CCP being able to access your data if you engage with Chinese companies. But the truth is that if you engage with YouTube and the FBI needs your data, they will get it from YouTube, and YouTube will not give them. So if they want it from Meta, they will get it. I mean, we talked about one legal case where the FBI literally got his phone call. So even if you stay off social media, just by buying that Vodafone or telecoms, whatever that you have there, yes, if the FBI needs it, if the government needs it, they will get it. And this is exactly what it is in China as well. As a comment to the idea that AI will continue to go, Nvidia will continue to go up. See, when DeepSeek happened, when everyone was talking about it, do you remember what Meta did? So Meta came up and said, well, we commit 65 million or 65 billion more into Nvidia chips, into AI development in general, but more chips. And that seems to me like the best way to go. Because now, if you're already the leader, you want to get more, because you know that even when you switch your model to the more efficient model, you still need that efficiency space to conquer the world. And I think this is something that Facebook, a company like Meta, knows too well, considering that it's the most used social media platform in the world. They know what it means to have that firepower.
They are doubling down because with the success that DeepSeek had or is like having, they feel like they also have an open source. I think it's called Luna, right? So they just feel like we can also do this. Maybe ours is more expensive. Maybe we'll become the superior model. But if they also have an open source, I think it makes sense to double down like that, to just strengthen their case in that case.
That makes sense. So that's it for today's episode, guys. We look forward to your comments. We look forward to your reaction to so many things that we've discussed today. Your opinions also matter. We would like to read them and hear from you. Do not forget to like, subscribe, and follow us on every platform. We're on Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, and most importantly, YouTube. Cheers.
Let me give them some booze and boat.